She's kneeling in the mud, rain hammering down so hard it stings. Her father's coffin is halfway into the ground, and she can barely see it through the tears. Then she hears the car door. You know that feeling when your stomach drops before your brain catches up? When your body knows something terrible is about to happen, but you're still hoping you're wrong. That's where Amara is right now. She doesn't turn around. She can't. Because if she does, if she looks, it becomes real. But the footsteps don't stop. Two sets. One she'd recognize anywhere. Heavy. Confident. The walk of a man who's made up his mind. The other is lighter. Deliberate. Almost playful. They stop right behind her. Close enough that she can hear breathing. And then Daniel's hand appears in front of her face. Not to help her up. Not to hold her. He's holding an envelope. White. Clean. Completely dry while she's soaked to the bone. She stares at it like it's something dead. Amara. His voice is flat. Businesslike. Like he's returning a defective product. I can't do this anymore. 6 words. That's all it takes to end 3 years of marriage. At her father's funeral. While his body is literally being lowered into the ground. Her hands won't move. She's frozen. Shock does that to you. It disconnects your brain from your body and you just stop. So Daniel drops the envelope. It lands in the mud next to her knee. And that's when the other voice comes. Soft. Almost gentle. Oh, sweetie. Lydia. She steps around Daniel, careful not to get her white heels dirty, and crouches down beside Amara. The guests are staring now. 100 people holding black umbrellas, frozen like they're watching a car crash. Lydia leans in close. So close Amara can smell her perfume. Something expensive. Something Amara would never be able to afford. And she whispers, I know this is hard for you. I really do. But let's be honest, you had to know this was coming, right? Amara's breath catches. Lydia's voice drops even lower. Intimate. Like they're friends sharing secrets. He was never going to stay with someone like you. You're sweet. And I'm sure you tried your best. But Daniel needs someone who can actually be a partner. Someone sophisticated. Someone who doesn't fall apart every 5 minutes. She glances down at Amara's rounded belly. And now you're pregnant. God. Talk about bad timing. You really thought a baby would make him stay. Her smile is poison wrapped in pity. Honey, babies don't fix broken things. They just make the mess bigger. She stands up, brushes off her knees like she just touched something dirty, and takes Daniel's hand. Daniel doesn't look at Amara. Not once. He just turns around and walks away. With Lydia. At her father's funeral. While Amara is 6 months pregnant and kneeling in the mud over the grave of the only person who ever truly loved her. If you've ever felt invisible, if someone ever made you feel small when you were already broken, if you've been kicked when you were down and told it was your fault, then you need to hear what happens next. Hit that like button right now. Subscribe. Because this story is about to take a turn that'll restore every ounce of faith you lost in justice. Share this with someone who needs to remember that being underestimated isn't the end. It's the beginning. The other mourners don't know what to do. Some leave quickly, eyes down, like they witnessed something obscene. Others linger, whispering behind their hands. An older woman, someone from her father's church, tries to approach. Dear, let me help you up. I'm fine. Amara's voice cracks on the word fine, and they both know it's a lie. But the woman steps back anyway. Because what do you even say to someone who just got divorced at a funeral? Eventually, everyone leaves. The cemetery workers hover nearby, waiting to finish filling the grave, but they're too uncomfortable to rush her. So Amara just stays there, kneeling in the mud. One hand pressed against her father's headstone, the other clutched around her belly, and the divorce papers dissolving into pulp beside her. She doesn't know how long she sits there. Could be 20 minutes. Could be 2 hours. Time does this thing when you're in shock. It stretches and compresses and stops making sense. When she finally stands, her legs nearly give out. Her dress is ruined, caked in mud and grass. She looks like something that crawled out of the ground instead of someone mourning it. The Uber driver who picks her up asks if she's okay. She says yes. He doesn't believe her but doesn't push. 3 days pass. Amara hasn't left the apartment. It's a small one-bedroom on the edge of town. The kind of place where the heater rattles and the neighbors fight loud enough to hear through the walls. Daniel took most of the furniture when he moved out 2 weeks ago. Said he'd be back for the rest. He lied. What's left is a mattress on the floor, a microwave that only works on half power, and her father's old armchair that smells like engine oil and Old Spice. She sits in that chair for hours, staring at nothing. The divorce papers are on the coffee table now. Dried out. Wrinkled. Waiting. Daniel's lawyer keeps calling. We'd really like to expedite this process. The sooner we finalize, the better for everyone. Mr. Rothman is prepared to be very reasonable with the terms. Reasonable. Like he's doing her a favor. She hasn't signed yet. Not because she's fighting, but because every time she picks up the pen, her hands shake so violently she can't hold it. That's trauma. Real, physical, body memory trauma. The kind that lives in your nervous system and doesn't ask permission. On the fourth day, she runs out of food. Not completely, but enough that she has to choose between feeding herself or saving the last few dollars for next week. She chooses next week. Goes to bed hungry. The baby kicks and she whispers, "I know. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." That night, she dreams about her father. He's sitting in his chair, the real one, back when he was alive. He's smiling. "You're stronger than you think, baby girl." She wants to believe him. But when she wakes up, the chair is empty and she's still alone. That's when the knock comes. 2 taps. Polite. Professional. Amara almost doesn't answer. She looks awful. Hair unwashed. Same clothes for 3 days. Swollen eyes. But something makes her get up. Maybe it's muscle memory. Her father always taught her to answer the door. Always be respectful. Always show up. Even when you don't want to. She opens it. A man stands there. 50s maybe. Gray suit. Kind eyes. The sort of face that looks like it's seen some things but still chooses to be gentle. Miss Kensington? Her maiden name. She hasn't heard it in so long it almost doesn't register. Who are you? My name is Edward Collier. I was your father's attorney. Amara blinks. My father didn't have an attorney. Edward's smile is sad. Knowing. Yes. That's what he wanted everyone to think. He gestures toward the apartment. May I come in? This will take some time. Amara steps aside. Her brain is moving slow. Everything feels like it's happening underwater. Edward sits on the only chair available, the broken folding one by the kitchen counter, and sets his briefcase on the table, right next to the unsigned divorce papers. He glances at them. Says nothing. Instead, he opens the briefcase and pulls out an envelope. Handwritten. Sealed with actual wax. Her father's handwriting on the front. Her name. Amara. Her throat closes. He gave this to me 2 years ago, Edward says quietly. With very specific instructions. What instructions? That I was only to deliver it after 2 things happened. He pauses, choosing his words carefully. First, that he passed away. Amara's eyes start burning. And second, Edward looks directly at her. That your husband left you first. The room tilts. Everything goes silent except for the ringing in her ears. What? Your father knew, Amara. He knew what kind of man Daniel was long before you did. Her voice cracks. Then why didn't he tell me? Because, Edward says softly, he needed you to see it yourself. He needed Daniel to show his true face without interference. Without influence. He places the envelope in front of her. He said if Daniel truly loved you, nothing would matter. Not money. Not status. Nothing. But if Daniel didn't. Edward taps the envelope. Then you'd need this. Amara stares at it like it might explode. Her hands are shaking again. She picks it up. The paper is thick. Expensive. The kind her father would have called wasteful under any other circumstance. But he used it. For her. She breaks the seal and unfolds the letter. The handwriting blurs immediately because she's crying, but she forces herself to read. My dearest Amara, if you're reading this, I'm gone. And if you're reading this, Daniel left you. I'm so sorry, sweetheart. Not because I didn't see it coming, but because I couldn't protect you from how much it would hurt. I wanted to tell you so many times. I wanted to pull you aside and say, baby girl, that man doesn't love you the way you deserve. But you wouldn't have believed me. You would have thought I was being overprotective, old-fashioned, out of touch. So I waited. I watched. And I prepared. Because I knew one day he'd show you exactly who he was. And when he did, I needed you to have something to stand on. You were never poor, Amara. You were hidden. I spent 30 years building something in silence. Not for me. For you. I lived small so you'd learn humility. I worked those jobs so you'd understand the value of hard work. But I also invested. Saved. Built. And I did it quietly so that no one would ever love you for what I had. I wanted someone to love you for who you are. Daniel failed that test. But you, my brave, beautiful girl, you passed mine. Everything I built is yours now. Every contract. Every property. Every account. All of it. You're not starting over, sweetheart. You're stepping into what was always meant to be yours. Raise that baby with your head high. Live without fear. And let him spend the rest of his life regretting the biggest mistake he ever made. I love you forever. Dad. The letter slips from her hands. She can't breathe. Can't think. Edward waits. He's done this before. Delivered life-changing news. He knows better than to rush. Finally, Amara whispers, how much? Edward opens the briefcase. Inside are folders. Documents. Deeds with official seals. He speaks slowly. Carefully. Your father held a controlling interest in a regional logistics company. Shipping. Distribution. It generates approximately $42 million in revenue annually. Amara's hands go to her mouth. He also owned commercial real estate. Warehouses. Office buildings. 3 separate properties generating around $15,000 a month in rental income. Her vision is swimming. There are investment portfolios. Offshore accounts he set up in the 90s when regulations were looser. Stock holdings. Bonds. Mutual funds. Edward looks up. Conservatively, you're now the sole beneficiary of an estate worth approximately $68 million. The world stops. Amara can't process it. Her brain refuses. 68 million. Her father fixed cars. He painted fences. He lived in a house that needed a new roof for 15 years. That's impossible, she whispers. It's not, Edward says gently. Your father was an incredibly intelligent man. He made his money young, invested wisely, and then disappeared into a normal life. He wanted you to grow up grounded. Real. Humble. His voice softens. And he wanted to make sure that whoever married you did it for the right reasons. Amara's crying now. Full body sobs. Daniel had no idea, Edward continues. No one did. Your father made sure of that. He reaches into the briefcase one more time. Pulls out another document. There's one more thing you should know. He slides it across the table. It's a property deed. Rosewood Estate. Amara's breath hitches. That's where Daniel's getting married. Yes. When? 2 weeks. Edward's eyes meet hers. Your father purchased that property in 2003. It's been generating revenue through private events ever since. Weddings. Galas. Corporate retreats. He pauses. Which means you now own the venue where your ex-husband is about to marry the woman he left you for. Amara just stares. Her mind is racing, but also completely blank. You have options, Edward says quietly. You can let the event proceed. You can cancel it. You can even attend if you want. He leans forward. But whatever you decide, I need you to know something. What? Your father didn't do this for revenge. He did it so you'd never have to beg. Never have to ask permission. Never have to feel small again. He stands. Take your time. Read everything. Call me when you're ready. He places a business card on the table. Then he leaves. Amara sits there for hours, staring at the documents, at her father's letter, at the divorce papers still waiting for her signature. And for the first time in weeks, she feels something other than grief. She feels power. If you need to know what she does next, if you're dying to see how this plays out, then smash that subscribe button right now because there's something coming and you will not want to miss it. Hit like if you're Team Amara. Comment justice if you think karma is real. Share this with anyone who's ever been underestimated. Because this story isn't over. Not even close. 2 weeks pass. Amara hasn't told anyone what she knows. Not Daniel. Not his family. Not even her own friends. She signs the divorce papers. Sends them back. No argument. No delay. Daniel's lawyer sounds surprised. Relieved. We appreciate your cooperation. Mr. Rothman wishes you well. She hangs up. Goes to her prenatal appointments alone. Eats. Sleeps. Plans. Meanwhile, Daniel is everywhere. Instagram. Facebook. Even TikTok. Photos of him and Lydia flood the internet. Venue tours. Dress fittings. Cake tastings. Captions like, "Forever starts soon," and "Found my person." Lydia posts a photo of her ring with the caption, "When God removes the wrong person, he makes room for the right one." Amara sees it. Saves it. Doesn't comment. The wedding is in 3 days when Amara finally calls Edward. "I've made my decision." And? She's silent for a long moment. Then, in a voice that's calm but cold, "Let it happen." Edward sounds surprised. "You're sure?" "Yes." "May I ask why?" Amara looks at herself in the mirror. 7 months pregnant now. Alone. But not broken. Not anymore. Because I want them to feel safe first. The day of the wedding arrives. Rosewood Estate looks perfect. String lights. White roses. A live orchestra. 200 guests in designer everything. Daniel stands at the altar in a white tuxedo, grinning like he's won the lottery. Lydia walks down the aisle in a dress that probably cost more than Amara's car. The officiant begins. Dearly beloved. Amara isn't there. She's 2 blocks away, sitting in her car, watching a live stream someone posted to Instagram. Edward is in the passenger seat. "Last chance to change your mind," he says. She doesn't answer. Just nods once. Edward picks up his phone. Makes a call. And exactly 4 minutes later, the double doors of Rosewood Estate open. Edward walks in. Not running. Not shouting. Just calm. Professional. He approaches the officiant and hands him a single document. The music stops. Every head turns. The officiant reads it. His face drains of color. He looks at Daniel. "Sir, I'm being informed that this venue's rental agreement has been terminated." Daniel laughs. Nervous. "That's ridiculous. We have a contract." Edward steps forward. His voice carries across the silent room. "The contract was voided this morning under Clause 9, subsection 4. The property owner has exercised her right to immediate termination." Lydia's voice is shrill. "Who the hell are you?" "I represent the owner of this estate." Daniel's smile is cracking. "And who owns it?" Edward doesn't blink. "Amara Kensington." The room explodes. Gasps. Whispers. Phones out instantly. Daniel's face goes white. "That's not possible." Her father. Her father, Edward interrupts calmly, was a very successful investor and property developer who chose to live modestly. Upon his passing, all assets transferred to his daughter. He turns to address the entire room now. "Additionally, I'm authorized to inform you that all joint financial accounts under Daniel Rothman's name have been frozen pending a full audit. The properties he listed as personal assets during divorce proceedings were never his. They were held in trust by Amara's father." Someone gasps. Someone else starts filming. Lydia's mother stands up and walks out without a word. Lydia grabs Daniel's arm so hard her nails dig in. "Do something." But Daniel can't move. He's paralyzed. Edward leans in close. Just to him. "You have 1 hour to clear the premises." Then he walks out. The room implodes. Guests scatter like roaches when you turn on a light. The band starts packing. Lydia screams at Daniel. Calls him an idiot. Asks how he didn't know. And Daniel. Daniel just stands there. Frozen at an altar that isn't his. In a venue that never was. Wearing a tuxedo he can't afford anymore. 2 blocks away, Amara watches it all on a phone screen. She doesn't smile. Doesn't cheer. Just watches. And when it's over, she turns off her phone. Drives home. And for the first time in months, she sleeps through the night. But 3 days later, something happens that she didn't expect. A knock at the door. She opens it. And Daniel is standing there. No Lydia. No lawyer. Just him. Looking smaller than she's ever seen him. His eyes are red. He hasn't shaved. Amara. His voice cracks on her name. Please. Can we talk? She stands in the doorway, one hand resting on her belly. And she says nothing. Just looks at him. The man who left her at a funeral. The man who handed her divorce papers in the rain. The man who brought another woman in white to the worst day of her life. He's crying now. I made a mistake. The biggest mistake of my life. I'm so sorry. Please. I'll do anything. Amara's face doesn't change. Amara, please. No. One word. Quiet. Final. Daniel's face crumbles. But You left me when I had nothing, she says softly. You don't get to come back now that you know I don't. She steps back. Starts to close the door. Wait. Goodbye, Daniel. The door clicks shut. She locks it. Stands there for a moment. Then she hears it. Him. On the other side of the door. Sobbing. She closes her eyes. And walks away. But here's the thing. That's not the end. Because 2 days later, Amara gets a call from Edward. We have a problem. What kind of problem? Daniel's filed a countersuit. He's claiming your father manipulated the timeline of the assets to defraud him during the divorce. He's saying he's entitled to half. Amara's blood goes cold. Can he do that? Edward is silent for a beat too long. Legally? It's complicated. But he's hired a very aggressive firm. They're going to make this ugly. How ugly? They're subpoenaing everything. Bank records. Your father's medical history. They're going to argue he wasn't of sound mind when he transferred the assets. They're even threatening to go after the baby. What? Claiming you manipulated him by getting pregnant to secure the inheritance. Amara feels sick. They can't. They can try. Edward's voice softens. And there's something else. What? Lydia's pregnant too. Amara's world tilts. She's claiming the baby is Daniel's. And she's saying that if he's entitled to your father's assets, then her child is too. Silence. Amara. She's staring at the wall. Processing. Amara, we need to move fast. This is about to become a media circus. But Amara isn't listening anymore. Because she just realized something. Something that changes everything. Something her father wrote in that letter. A line she didn't understand at first. The truth protects itself. And suddenly, she knows exactly what he meant. Edward. Yes. I need you to pull every communication Daniel had with my father. Every email. Every text. Every voicemail. Why? Her voice is steady now. Calm. Because my father knew this would happen. What do you mean? He always knew. And if I'm right. She pauses. Daniel just walked into a trap that was set 2 years ago. If you're screaming at your screen right now, if you need to know what happens next, then subscribe and turn on notifications because part 2 is coming and it's going to blow your mind. Comment trap if you think her dad planned this the whole time. Share this right now with anyone who loves a good revenge plot. Because this story is far from over. And what Amara is about to uncover will prove that some people play chess while everyone else is playing checkers. See you in part 2.